Call me absolutely crazy, but I spent a week in Tunisia looking for one specific thing. I wanted to see Star Wars film sites, and wouldn't you know it, I was going to be in the country on May the 4th. I got my wish and saw some insanely cool spots from a film franchise that meant a lot to me, but I didn't expect to leave ranking Tunisia so highly across all of the places I've traveled to. This was an absolutely beautiful country with tons of history you may have never heard about, amazing food, architecture, and people. I hired a private driver for the week who was absolutely amazing and did a road trip all over the country, seeing many of the country's most impressive sights, and of course, the Star Wars movie sets that I wanted to visit. If you're interested, there's a brief breakdown of my itinerary in the video description. Throughout this video, I'll share my experience traveling throughout Tunisia, share some recommendations, and of course, show you all sorts of Star Wars locations. Our first day was a bit of a travel day, and all we really did in Tunis was get dinner. However, by day 2, we were up early, starting with the Bardo Museum. I was honestly just expecting a typical national museum, but I ended up being absolutely blown away. There are all sorts of fascinating artifacts from entirely different civilizations over the centuries, but the highlight here is easily the Roman mosaics. The Bardo Museum holds the largest collection of these mosaics in the world, and to be honest, I could just show you 20 full minutes of footage from these alone. They are wildly well preserved and absolutely gorgeous. There's Christian art, scenes of wild hunts, fascinating depictions of people and animals and landscapes, really just all sorts of fun pieces to look at. If you're passionate about this sort of history, you could easily spend 5 hours there. You're also able to get a combined ticket for this place and Carthage, which is where we went next. Carthage was equally incredible. Probably the most well-preserved part of it, and the most fun to explore, were the Baths of Antonius. These were incredibly cool, especially the high pillars that are still standing. Also around that area were Roman villas, which were also sweet. They're so well preserved, and there's mosaics and all sorts of buildings, and I even found a cross of Peter. You could pretty much imagine the exact outline of where people's houses would have been, which is super cool. The last thing we did that day before heading back to the capital was visit Sidi Bou Said. Sidi Bou Said is an absolutely beautiful coastal town. It's one of the more popular spots in Tunisia that you may have seen before. It is well worth a walk through, and you should maybe even do some shopping here. You should definitely grab a spot at one of the couple of cafes that overlook the Mediterranean. I will say, though, that in my opinion, this place is a tad overrated. If you like the architecture, I think you can find it anywhere else on the Med. Also, I found that there were more quaint towns with nicer people in other places throughout Tunisia. I'll mention this a few more times in the video, but while I found Tunisians extremely kind and hospitable, the street vendors are some of the absolute worst I've ever interacted with. They're very pushy and touchy and all that. I mean, it's nothing new if you're an experienced traveler, but this place in particular was full of them, and they were super aggressive, trying to get you to pet their birds, of all things. Anyway, I wouldn't let that put a damper on the entire place. It is a very nice spot, but you can walk through it completely in like 45 minutes. I would recommend that you get a coffee here and check it out briefly, but I wouldn't devote a whole day to it. That was pretty much the last quote-unquote excursion of the day. Afterwards, we headed back to Tunis while it was brighter out, and we explored a bit of it before going to dinner. Tunis is a great place to explore, though I'm not quite sure why. It just didn't really meet my expectations overall. I think Moroccan cities, for example, were much more walkable and there was more stuff to see. Much of the city feels extremely European, and the most important place you'll go down is Avenue Habib Bourguiba. It's super walkable with trees in the middle, and there's lots of important buildings here like the Clock Tower and National Theater. At the end of it, you'll encounter the Gate to the Sea, which splits modern Tunis from the Medina. Walking past this really is night and day. Afterwards, the architecture becomes much less European and much more Arabic or North African. There's a famous hotel right beside the gate called the Royal Victoria Hotel, and to be honest, I wish I stayed right here. It's directly in the middle of all the stuff you would explore on foot, and rooms are only around $100 a night. Going through the Medina itself is pretty fun. There's a market, all sorts of food, and the Zitouna Mosque. When you get spat out on the other side, you can walk to the Kasbah Square, which is a really cool national monument. That night, we ate in a neighborhood in the northeast right on the coast called La Goulette. According to our guide, this is one of the best places to eat in the city. Historically, this place has housed a Sicilian community, and to this day, there's still a lot of Italian restaurants around there. I can't speak for every place in particular, but my food was incredibly delicious. The next day was one of my favorite parts of the entire trip. We drove out from Tunis to Dougga, a Berber, Punic, and Roman settlement that today is one of Tunisia's 9 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I was honestly at a loss for words when I first saw this place. The drive there was absolutely gorgeous. There are rolling hills full of vineyards, and it's one of those places that really make you doubt you're in Africa. I mean, I know it's a very diverse continent geographically speaking, but this really does look like Southern Europe, at least right here. Anyway, there are multiple temples, a mausoleum, an amphitheater, and even an ancient Christian church. The amphitheater is actually still used today, which is crazy. Bryan Adams, of all people, had played here the night before we showed up, and they were actually tearing that down while we were exploring. Around the amphitheater, there are all sorts of letters still visible that have been carved into the pillars, and they just retain a ton of details in general. In between the major highlights and temples, there are tons of smaller sites, walls, stelae, pottery shards, aqueducts, and cisterns, all sorts of fascinating stuff to walk through. The only negative thing I could say about this place was that I regretted not knowing more about Punic and Roman architecture. You're given a lot of free rein to explore here, and there's not a ton of information right in front of you, which I actually think was quite nice. You kind of get to choose your own adventure, and I wish I could have identified more things instead of having to look them up on my phone. It's also really massive, and you can't really tell where it ends. You can just keep walking higher and higher and still find stelae, and we really only turned back when we encountered some farmers with a donkey. That's one of the things I learned about this part of Tunisia. There are tons and tons of Roman ruins, with more and more discovered and excavated each year. But you could literally plan your own hike and kind of just find stelae that aren't on the map. I mean, if I came back, that's something I'd try and do, going out by my own and seeing these things. The capital in particular is very well preserved. You could sit and stare at this thing and read the inscriptions all day.
It would be really funny.
Everything is so insanely well preserved here. It's just like, it's some of the coolest Roman ruins I've seen outside of Rome. It's pristine. There's the letters are clear. There's so much like detail remaining. It's absolutely fascinating. Super cool. Yesterday at Carthage, my mind was blown, and then this, like, every single thing I keep seeing here just takes it up another notch. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Overall, Dougga was one of my favorite spots from the whole trip. After we finished up there, we stopped in a small town called Testour on the way back to Tunis. It was a neat little spot. We grabbed a coffee and looked at the mosque. If you're driving and you can squeeze in a visit, I'd recommend it. It was a nice place. The next day, we spent most of our time in the car just heading to Tozeur, where we'd spend the night in an effort to see Star Wars stuff the following day. But on the way, we went to a site that I had been really excited about. The Sidi Bou Said Gorge, also colloquially known as Star Wars Canyon, is home to tons of Tatooine shots, like where the Sand People kidnapped Luke and where Obi-Wan later showed up.
Right behind me is Mauer Canyon, where there's no props or anything, but you can actually see, you know, physical locations from episode 4 and 1, and it was a lot easier to get out here than we thought. Our driver was a little worried about the roads, but you know, you can see that car behind me. We literally drove right up here. There's a 1 or 2 mosques like right by here, and then there's just a hiking path that you can go see. But you'll know you're in the right place when you see this mural here. That's sweet. Arfawi. It's the guy who made it. It's 90 degrees where we are, and we're about to attempt to walk up the hill, which actually it doesn't look that bad. I don't know how far we're actually going to go in, because online it's not super easy to figure out like specifically where the viewpoints are, like, and we don't quite have the time to like spend 2 hours here trying to recreate a bunch of shots, but I don't know, we're just going to get up high and figure it out, see what we can see. Let's go take a look at this map. Alright, we gotta try to find like a real shot, okay? There's garbage everywhere, which is really sad. Ugh. It looks like people come out here and drink beer, which is interesting. I don't know if that's beer or what, but
Yeah.
there's Heineken bottles everywhere, or what remains of them. There's a road there that goes up to the mosque, and I think that may have been where we were supposed to go, but I can't tell. I mean, it's harder to orient myself out here than I thought. But I'm going to take a look at this clearing and see if we can find anything. Okay, I don't 100% know where I am yet, but I think we are getting significantly warmer. Take a look at this. That's the pod racing gorge, I think. So with what I'm looking at, I don't know if you can make any sense of that. I think we need to kind of be dog legging that way, so we're gonna go deeper through the middle and see if we can get to like the back side of that building, if that makes sense. That's my present orientation point. So yeah, if you're following this video as a guide and you make your way out here, just go straight through the canyon. I mean, you can go up if you want later, but I think at first don't take either of the roads to the left or the right, just go straight through. I think that might be the rock we're looking for. And movie aside, this place is absolutely gorgeous. This would be a great place for a day hike. And it's like 90 degrees out, but with this shade, I mean, it's about 4 o'clock right now, so, you know, we don't have the midday sun, but this is actually like super duper comfy. It's breezy. It's nice through here. And I think in a couple of the photos I've seen, especially on the Galaxy Tours website, who were super helpful in listing out all these locations, I'm pretty sure that rock right there is used on like that's like their thumbnail for this spot. So I think once we get there, things will make a little bit more sense. There's some Arabic graffiti here that made its way into the original cut of episode 4. And I'm not sure if that's still here. I don't think it is. I never even noticed it when I watched the movie. I only heard of it when I was researching, but oh man. Okay, if that right there isn't the cliff, then maybe that slightly lower one on the right is, but I think we may have found it. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. There's a beetle. Hello, beetle. I don't know what that is, actually. I drug my girlfriend out here for our anniversary trip. I don't know quite how excited she is for this, but she's a trooper. Okay, I'm only now putting this together, but I think this kind of curved rock edge is where the Tuscan Raiders shoot from, which, you know, during the pod racing scene. So I'm gonna backtrack a sec and see if it makes sense. Because I think, well, sorry, this is a visible portion. If we're seeing, you know, this spot here, it would mean they were actually up there somewhere, which I guess checks out. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going closer, but that peak up there is officially like part of the movie. That's crazy. Man, that's absolutely beautiful. I've been staring at it for like 5 minutes. It's like it was like a puzzle. I was like mentally trying to force it together, and I just couldn't see it until now. But yeah, this is totally it. This is crazy. I'm engaging in like super fan behavior right now. And I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't care. This place is really, really cool. Oh, this is interesting. There's some like bricks out here. No idea what these were for. Yeah, check this out. There's like, I don't know, it's like a foundation. I wonder if they laid any of this here for filming, because in some of the, I think that might be the case. In some of these shots, well, there are a lot of photos of like the actual filming process here. And, oh wow, that's a hole. And, you know, there was a lot of like, you know, actual like workers and cameras and stuff. And they were like building like, not like scaffolding, I don't know what to call it. They built, you know, little places to work. Maybe that's what some of this stuff is. That is the coolest thing ever. Oh my gosh. Thousands of miles and $1,200 for that rock right here. But we made it. I think we're probably going to head out pretty soon. We have had an extremely long day today. And there's actually a point in time I wasn't going to come here. I was like, yeah, I wanted to prioritize places where there were actual props, but I am super glad I ended up coming. And yeah, like I said, we've had a long day. We're getting up early to see everything west of here. So I'll probably have already talked about some of these spots and contextualized them a bit, but we're going to spend the night in a town called Tozeur and get going early tomorrow. So yeah, and tomorrow night we'll be spending in the Lars Homestead, which is very exciting. So yeah, and once again, Star Wars aside, this thing is just absolutely, this is just a beautiful formation. I've been so extremely pleased with this country, because when I told our guide we wanted to come here and he saw a picture of a gorge, he was like, this is an ugly one, there's much prettier ones, like let me show you a better one. I don't know how it could get, if this is ugly, I want to come back here and hike for like 3 weeks. This is just stunning, like the colors, the texture on these rocks, just everything. Anyway, I'm done fangirling for now. We'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna head to some other spots. And yeah. Now, just as I'm on the way out, I want to make it clear, that is basically the end of the road. You'll see it on the map, but that's where you park, and then you're just gonna take, like I said, ignore both roads, just go straight up the canyon. This is what it should look like, and then you walk back there a little ways, maybe like not even 800 meters, and then you'll be there. And I'll show you again in a minute, but yeah, there's not like a sign or anything, so you need to kind of navigate a little bit, but it's not too crazy. Okay, so from the parking lot, there's a left path that'll go up and leads to the mosque. And then there's a path to the right where those power lines are. You're gonna avoid both of those. And easiest way, in my opinion, is you just approach the canyon and walk down a little bit and then through. And yeah, literally just go forward. Ignore the roads, they won't take you anywhere.
After spending the night in a quaint hotel in Testour, we headed west towards Nefta. The plan was to see the Lars Homestead, which is about 2 kilometers south of the road at a pretty random spot. Yeah, so like I mentioned, we're on the way to the Lars Homestead, which you might be able to see behind me. It looked a lot closer than it was, and like I'm walking through the desert and I just keep seeing it out in the distance. It's so weird, like people have been writing about that sort of thing for like 2,000 years, like just walking through ages through the desert. It's only about 2 kilometers from the road. It's like a 20-minute walk. It's not bad at all. But all the more reason to see about having a 4x4 rental if you're out here. Today we came from Tozeur, which is sort of like a big hub in the south, like right at the beginning of the Sahara in Tunisia, for all sorts of like excursions. There's a bunch of hotels. It's a very nice city. It's kind of the home base for a lot of, you know, 4x4 rides, camel rides, campouts, that sort of thing. So if you're doing this, some sort of tour or Star Wars pilgrimage, you'll probably end up there at some point. And there's actually an airport here, the Tozeur Nefta Airport, which has direct flights to Paris, and that's kind of interesting. Depending on what you want to do out here, it might be worthwhile to fly straight here, because this is about a 6-hour drive from the capital, Tunis. But anyway, the Star Wars sites are sort of divided into 3 main locations. Where I was yesterday is the gorge, is sort of the beginning of the westward ones. So out here, you can find Mos Espa, the Lars Homestead, and some like pod racing scenes and you know, stuff like that. There's also the dune
where the crate dragon used to be. We know the location of it, but you can't really, it's not really worth seeing. The dunes have shifted. There's no way to identify what it really was, or where it all really happened. And all the crate dragon pieces have been removed. But there's the Lars Homestead, which is the furthest west, and then a couple other places within, 20-30 minutes of here. There's the big Mos Espa set, and then there's a part of Mos Espa that fans call the small set. It was sort of like the slave quarters from episode 1. And what's interesting is that it's been covered by a dune, but the dune has sort of advanced, buried it, and then passed it. So today we're actually gonna go there and see if we can see it. I truly don't know if it's covered in sand or not right now. I have no idea whatsoever. So we're gonna see Mos Espa, and then we're gonna try and find the small Mos Espa set, and then we're gonna go to a spot where we're gonna try and see like the start of the pod race scene. So all very cool stuff, all easily accessible. And then like I said, this is all the westward points. The next location, Hotel City Idriss, which is the inside of the Lars house, that is kind of right in the middle. And finally, you have Djerba to the east, where like Ben Kenobi's house is and some other stuff. We're heading that way tonight into tomorrow. Essentially, all of this stuff, all of the westward stuff, it's like a good day activity. I mean, you can see it all within a short amount of time. And, like I said, if you had a 4x4, you could have drove out here, no problem, but we're taking like the 20-minute walk instead. It is super hot, and we're here in May, which is the beginning of summer. But, like I mentioned, as you can hear and definitely see as well, it's super windy. So even though the sun's looking right down on me, and it's like 90 degrees, it's actually not miserable. The UV index is pretty high, and if you look like I do, it might be worthwhile to wear long sleeves and pants, which, I'm doing, but the weather's not unbearable. Yeah, it hasn't been that bad. We're here! So on this side, I'm pretty sure this is just like a shrine people have set up. I've seen pictures of that online. I think people leave a lot of stuff out here, which is kind of interesting. That's cool. Rocks. Oh, the 501st Legion's been out here. That's pretty cool. If you take something, include its price. Some salt bottles. This is interesting. Oh. Whoa. Here is like the little dirt, like mound wall thing. This is what they made. This is sort of like visually to represent the interior of the homestead, but that's somewhere else. Like I mentioned, we're gonna see it tonight. It's a hotel, but this is kind of the representation in the distance. Oh my gosh, I'm saving the inside for last. I want to go read this sign. You could tell this place is super well trodden. There's a lot of it's dry out here, but there's a lot of fresh tracks. Oh, this is interesting. Save the Lars Homestead. In 2011, fans from around the world donated $10,000 to have this iconic movie location restored to its full glory. Wow. Oh, that's great. Wow. It's like plaster. It almost feels hollow. All right, finally a reprieve from the pig. Ugh. Wow. Oh my gosh. Super cool. Oh man, look, I stepped in water. This place is a lake technically. More of an oasis than a lake. Oh my gosh. Everybody's signatures and stickers are up here. Oh, that's so cool. Wow. Oh my gosh. Come in, come in, come in, come in.
No, I don't want to get wet.
Just watch, you can step on the ground. Like the sides of it. Wow.
Que la force soit avec vous.
I don't speak French, but I can take a very educated guess as to what that is. Oh my gosh. This thing's just so cool. Successful first stop. It's amazing how well preserved this is. Like I don't know, looks just like the movies. So it's super cool. I'd stay here longer, but we've got pictures, we've visited. It's time to head to the next spot. And hopefully the wind dies down a little bit, because this is, it's windy. And we're starting the long walk back out of here.
The road to Mos Espa was not entirely an easy one. It took us about an hour, and we even hung the car up on the way, but we made it. Also, this freaking desert bandit pulled up and asked the driver if he could show us something, to which the driver said, sure, and he procured a fox from his jacket, which was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but she was a cutie pie, so that's okay.
Okay, this is Star Wars, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
I need to...
No, it's all good, thank you. Ça va super bien, merci.
Français?
Viti.
Ah,
This is super cool. A real life moisture vaporizer. So, as you guys saw, we got stuck on the way in, but not for long, and we've made it. We would have been fine though. We have cell service, we have water, we have gas, people know where we are, but we're here. And you can see, you know, it sort of resembles a town, which is awesome, you know? I mean, we're walking the streets and there's still moisture vaporizers, these are actually, like, they're mostly wood, at least on the outside. They're all wood. I mean, there's some metal parts. And up at the top, it almost looks like a weather vane kind of thing. But they're super cool, super duper cool. Some of these have been sealed off, but you could see inside and see the wood and stuff. Very, very cool. Just mind-blowing, honestly. So this is the place I was talking about earlier, where just like 600 meters from here is the supposed buried smaller set. So we're gonna take a moment and look for that. But you know, and I have coordinates, so we should be able to find it, but I certainly can't see it right now. Here's another inside. Looks like we can go inside this one. Doors open. They look so much different on the inside. It is a movie prop though. Hi. So I've heard online. No, thank you. No, merci.
Vas-y, normal.
No.
Hammamet.
Um,
Skål normal.
wow.
Normal,
It's,
basta.
yeah. No, it's okay. Thank you. Merci. So I've actually heard that some people live in these things. On the way in here, we saw a bunch of Bedouin settlements, and our guide was explaining that a lot of them crossed the border into Algeria to buy cheaper goods and then sell here. And we are very close to the Algerian border. It would not surprise me at all if people camped here. Hell, I'd camp here. This would be like an awesome place to spend a night. I mean, it's good shelter. Like, unironically, this is good shelter from the desert. It's like, it's very cool in here. I came back into one of these and it's like 10 degrees colder than it is on the outside. It truly is a shame how much just like garbage is thrown about here, you know? But wow. Here's another, let's see up here. This is just awesome. There's some camels out there. Man, this is just fascinating. There's actually, they built a bathroom out there. There's a big sign on that building that says WC. They built a bathroom. It's kind of interesting. Probably so somebody can sit out in front of it and charge you $1 to go in. Yeah, these things they're falling apart a little bit, but like they are remarkably well preserved. I guess that's, you know, what happens in a desert, but I feel like I'm in Battlefront right now. Just walking around the map. There's a big one we can go in. Wow. Yeah, I always thought these things were made of like tin or something. And there are a bunch of metal parts here, but yeah, this is like wood. And this looks like this looks like an electrical outlet cover. Like you can see there's a screw there still. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy how creative these things are. I mean, you've got these sort of metal guy wires or whatever you'd call them just attached here. just wire cover. I think that's what that is. More of those more outlet covers. Wow. That's so cool. That is super duper neat.
Hi, look, my friend.
No thanks.
American English.
Wow. This wood is remarkably well preserved. I mean, this was all from episode 1. This was built like much later than the 70s, but I mean, gosh, it's super cool. I've had a superb experience in Tunisia. This is a beautiful country, great value, very nice people, coolest Roman ruins I've ever seen outside of Rome. But some of the guys are just so aggressive. Like a few days ago, We were walking through like a town, and these two dudes did it to me. They wanted to, you know, put a bird on my shoulder and then ask for a generous tip. And they like grabbed me like extremely hard, to the point where I had to like roll out of the guy's wrist, you know, between his fingers. And I mentioned something to the effect of shoving the bird so far up his ass it would fly out his mouth. And that sort of got him to leave me alone. But they're just like very, very pushy. But you know, I mean, that's a lot of these places for you. But that's been my only complaint. You know, other than that, these people are very kind and very nice. But you know, everybody's got to get their money to live, I guess. This is interesting. This one's locked up. I wonder why. Well, that's actually looks like someone might have turned it into a house. That's why. It's also remarkable how much local influence there is here. I mean, you walk around Tunisia and you know, see these houses and settlements that, you know, they don't look like this. This has been given a sort of, you know, a dash of sci-fi, but you can definitely see the inspiration, especially with these, you know, colored doors and stuff. There's a lot of duct work, like just pipes that lead nowhere. Super creative. Let's see what's inside here. Oh, I think we've looked at this one. Oh, so much sand. It would be a real shame if you hated sand. For a second, I thought my girlfriend must have got kidnapped, but I found her in the guide. We're gonna go take a look from the top of the dune. I thought the second location was much closer, but looking at the map now, it says it's something like an hour walk. I don't know if that's like because the desert tax has been added, but hopefully I get up on this dune, I can see a little bit better. And yeah, we'll just see if there's anything there. Whew. Dude, it is windy. Ugh. Yeah.
And I was like, I thought we were paying 10. So we asked how much.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of these rocks over there were used in episode 1. Like, I think that's where the lightsaber duel took place. Yeah, I'm just gonna walk over here and check this out. See if I can match up this rock to what I think is there. Okay, so looking at my map, I can confirm that like this, these sets of rocks back there, those were actually used in episode 1. They were the backdrop for some of the lightsaber battles. And I think that dune over there might be the one that buried the smaller set. But I'm not entirely sure. The sand is cool. It's like a little ridge, I don't know. I'm pretty sure like that rock over there is where like Maul's doing a backflip and all that stuff. And then I think when they filmed it, I don't know if all of this dune was here. I think it was much shorter, much lower down. And you actually would have been able to see the Mos Espa set, even if they edited it out. But But yeah, I'm just not entirely sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Salt dunes. Alright, glad I got to say I saw it, but there's not all that much out here, so I'm gonna head back. Alright, time to cross another dune to get back to Mos Espa. These rock formations are really cool though. I mean, it's just neat. Cool spot. But I gotta go back and get some water before I just pass out. I still don't have my mind made up about the small set. I don't know how badly I really want to go searching for it, because I just can't see anything from here. I don't know. Scratch that. I let myself get completely disoriented, if you can imagine that. The small set is southwest. I think I was looking at the coordinates of the pod racing thing. That we're not sure if we're going to be able to get to without hiring a new 4x4. But allegedly, southwest is the opposite way that I was looking. So if you can imagine in a line, you've got those rocks where some duels took place, and then you've got Mos Espa itself in the middle, and then below that is the small set. So I haven't seen anything remotely like it, but we'll take a look, see if we can find it anyway. So that's the back end of Mos Espa, and southwest is more like that way. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna be honest. Southwest is that way, and we're looking for something 600 meters southwest of here. And I see some camel fences, but other than that, I really don't see anything. I mean, it might be that this is just totally buried. We'll take a walk over there, but I have pretty low expectations of finding anything at all. I took a big sip of water, found southwest, and I'm walking. So ideally, those things put together equals finding the small set. Now I'm looking at a van, like literally a decrepit old van, and it's right southwest. So I don't know, maybe that's a waypoint, maybe someone wrote something there, I don't know. But we're gonna try to find this buried piece, and after that I can be done. There's a lot of 4x4 trails heading out this direction, so I'm hopeful I can find something. Okay, so we've made it to the van. I was kind of thinking it would be like I don't know. I thought that big sticker would be like Eriguet or whatever the Star Wars writing is, but no, I think it's just a tour bus. It's pretty sick, nonetheless. And I mean, I don't know. This is directly southwest, so maybe this is like where the small set would be. And I mean, we're about 600 yards maybe from that thing. Maybe it's farther. I'll go a little bit farther, because that's an actual dune. I'm more inclined to think if it's buried there. Maybe what's in here? Ugh. Damn, that's rusty. I don't really want to get tetanus. Oh, wow. That's cool. Horn doesn't work. Yeah, on all the maps that I saw, oh, there's a seat. On all the maps that I saw, nothing mentioned the this van, so I don't know. Maybe that's relevant, maybe not. I think, like, eyeballing my phone Google Maps thing, I think I've only gone about 200 meters, so I don't know. I'm gonna go to the top of this dune, and if I can see anything, great. If not, I'll turn back. Like I said, I really have no idea if this small set is still buried or not. So I know I kind of give some background on it, but apparently, you know, most of the Mos Espa scenes were done over there for episode 1 and 2. But the actual, like, slave quarters is what they're called, I think, in the screenplay. But, like, you know, Anakin's house and, like, their backyard was done a little ways off. I have no idea why. But the Galaxy Tours website, which I've used as, like, a massive resource for this whole thing, says it's 600 meters southwest of here and that it's been buried for years. But I read, like, a different blog that said it has been unburied, buried, partially unburied, and then unburied again. So, I mean, I don't know. Dunes move. I'm holding out hope. Maybe it's past. I mean, it's been 2.5 decades since it was, you know, constructed. I mean, it very well could have been covered and uncovered several times. But who knows? Who knows? Man, there's like so much plastic garbage out here. It's like so disheartening. I think I'm giving up. I'm about 600 meters southwest, and I think I'm standing right on top of it. Truth be told, I mean, I'm on a giant dune right now, but it's like 40 feet off the ground. There's no way I'd be able to find any piece of this. And, you know, if I walk to the next dune, then I'll walk to the next dune, and I'll walk to the next dune, and then I'll be lost. I mean, this is what I'm standing on top of. I don't know if you can really make that out, but that's all very flat and clear, and there's no sand. And if it were any farther, that's where it would be. So honestly, I think I'm standing right on top of the small set. I was hoping I could see something poking out from the ground or whatever, but yeah, I really don't think there's anything here. That's a shame. I don't know, maybe in another 10 years it'll have moved. I mean, I'm watching the sand move now. It's so windy. I can't imagine anything is permanent out here with how windy it is. But, yeah. We've seen the Lars Homestead. We've seen Mos Espa. We failed the objective of getting to Anakin's house, although we might be standing on top of it. And from here, I don't really know how badly I want to go search for the pod racing formation. I mean, I really thought we were going to have a 4x4 when we came out here. There was a little bit of a mix-up. Otherwise, everything's been great, but we've been discussing as a group hiring one of these guys that are out here, but I don't know how worthwhile it'll be to see it. I mean, it's literally just 2 rocks put together. The whole audience and all of that was CGI, as you can imagine, so yeah, we might be cooked, unfortunately. So we'll probably skip that and just head to Matmata, which, if you remember from earlier, I was talking about there's really 3 places there are sets. You know, this cluster, then in the middle, Hotel Sidi Idriss, which is the interior of the Lars home, and then in Djerba to the east, there's more. So I think we'll probably just start the next leg of the journey. Even if I didn't find this last part, this place still is extremely cool. And even though we got stuck, I mean, you know, it's all weather dependent. You could make it out here with a 4x4 100% of the time, and with a sedan, you know, maybe 50% of the time. And like I said too, you can literally, if you're in Paris, you can fly straight to Tozeur, you know, Tozeur, Nefta, whatever, where we're at now. You don't even need to fly through Tunis. You could come straight here. So that's an option. But this, you know, on the whole, this was not that horribly difficult to get to, nor expensive. It is super cool. This was like an awesome thing to come visit. Yep. We're putting a seed butter sticker, guys. Everybody subscribe to seed butter.
We ended up not venturing out to that rock formation that was used as the start of the pod race scene. I felt like it wouldn't be worth it to rent a car just to get out there and see a rock formation. I was under the impression we would have a 4x4 when I booked the car, but it wasn't a huge deal. I don't think it would have been as cool as the other sets, and I'm happy with what I did end up seeing. But if you did want to see this spot, you could make your way out there from Mos Espa, which is right by the road. From here, we drove a few hours east, stopping in Matmata to stay at Hotel Sidi Idriss. Matmata is absolutely gorgeous, and you're out in Berber country. One of the things I observed is that along the way, dotting the side of the road, are these old carved-out houses. Well, not necessarily houses, but caves. Like randomly on the side of the road, there would be man-made caves for traveling merchants that have been used for hundreds of years. That's basically what the Star Wars Hotel is anyway, an ancient underground house. But these genuinely litter the landscape, and it had me wanting to maybe hike or bike and camp in them on my own one day. Before we arrived at the Star Wars Hotel, though, our guide told us he had a little bit of a surprise and took us to one of these homes that the owner had converted into a hotel/tourist spot. For a small tip, he dressed us up in costumes and showed us a little bit about Berber life. His grandmother actually opened their ancient home for tourists way back in the 70s, and they were one of the first people to do that sort of thing. There were pictures of his grandma, Lady Fatima, with tourists from all over the world, and he claimed she lived to be 112.
It's very old key.
Yeah.
Here for 15 years and 20 years alone. After coming a lot of house like that and working in tourism and open for the tourists. Okay,
Wow.
but this is the first house work in tourism. It's not clear, but in 79 it's this picture. It's Germany man painted this one.
Wow.
This Fatima. صباح الامور متحركه
والله
ولا
الحمد لله اخوي والله الحمد لله ولا هيك برا ساعات تعطي ضريبه سمحه ساعات نحط على الموتور يا سيدي
ولا تعبت خليك نلعب نشري تعبت
كلها كانت متمدة جديدة كلها ثم قرية كما هذه من هنا زاد تطلع من الطريق هذاك البيست هذاك كلها مغاور كما هذه كانت الناس تعيش.
Before the new Matmata, a lot of people living here, and in this place there is a lot of houses like that. Okay, but now many houses it's broken, of course, because the people change and go to new Matmata. Okay.
شرفتونا ياسر بحضوركم.
Welcome in every time here.
والله ومرحبا بكم.
Welcome.
ان شاء الله في عودة.
Come back in other day, okay?
عايشك.
Thank you.
عايشك اخوي عايشك اخوي يرحم.
After this, we arrived at Hotel City Address. It was nighttime, so I mostly waited till the morning to take videos, but it is a super cool place. Meals were included and were absolutely delicious.
Can I just take a look in here? Thank you, thank you. Oh, cool.
After staying at the Star Wars Hotel, we made our way to the island of Djerba. However, on the way, we made a stop at Medenine, where we saw some more film sites from episode 1.
So right now we're at the SARS of Medenine, or Sar Amrasia. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, but essentially these are ancient Berber granary forts. That word Sar, it comes from the Arabic word for castle. But these are basically just sort of like community structures, city centers kind of things, and originally built for grain. And you may recognize these as basically the streets of Tatooine that Anakin Skywalker was raised on. So I think they're pretty cool. I'll show you a little bit. I think we're actually like 1 block away from where the specific scene was. But even right now, you can definitely recognize the landmarks and the type of structure. And it just goes to show how much of the Tatooine sets were really modeled by like actual Berber structures and Berber communities. And I think what's fascinating about that is they actually, in that sense, truly reflect life in the desert and ancient life in the desert from 1,000-year-old communities, which is just super duper fascinating. Here we go. Wow, this is amazing. Look at these. I'm gonna cross you, sorry. Look at how thin these stairs are. Like, they're just, I mean, you go straight up, then you've got one door, and you go straight up again to the 3rd floor. Obviously. Wow. Wow.
Wow. This is a theater.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. These are super cool. And yeah, there's a theater over here. Oh, I think it's 3 dinar to enter. You want to visit any of these? We'll check it out. There's a museum here.
1936. Ça, les mosquées, les derniers, nous sommes ici. Maintenant, là, ce qui est loin que ça. Avant, toute la ville de Sousse.
Well, here you have it, guys. Real Tatooine slave quarters.
Le taillini.
Hein?
D'où al taillini.
Collectionneur.
So something I've gathered from my guide is that it's actually very common for like Tunisians up in the north who live with a very much more modern but also sort of Arab culture. They kind of come down here and visit. Like they camp and they sleep in Berber hotels and they do all these same things we're doing. That's actually like common for a native Tunisian, which I think is fascinating. I mean, it's sort of like, it makes for a good weekend trip, but it's something the locals do, which is like, just, it's very interesting. I think it's interesting to find out what sort of small vacations people in a country take. Wow. Hi, Berber. Cool. You showed the yeah.
Ça, maintenant.
Oh, wow.
Ça, Berber.
This is like where we stayed yesterday. Dude, I would totally come here and like ride a motorcycle or something and camp in these places. Are you kidding me? Sounds so much fun. Yeah, it's got blankets. Another room. Wow. We're gonna explore one of these briefly. Which staircase looks less suicidal? I'm gonna go with this one. Ugh. Yeah. Take a picture. Take a picture of me. Okay. Waving to my girlfriend. Hello. Ugh. Wow. So a lot of these are ruined, which is really sad. Our guide keeps emphasizing when we pass through these Berber communities that nobody wants to live like this anymore. He said all the young people who live here have gone to Europe or they've gone to Tunis. Like they've left these cities, and you know, I can understand why, but it's also a real shame that, you know, these communities are weakening because it's a beautiful way of living. Like, it's super fascinating. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's lived in the same homes for, you know, centuries, the same family. And of course, the construction itself is interesting too. I mean, this is just an incredible way to live. Okay.
With Medenine behind us, it was time to head to Djerba. The first stop would be the exterior of the Cantina bar. Then we'd see the outside of Obi-Wan's house, and interestingly, the set of the deleted Tosche Station scene.
Can you go in there? Oh, okay. This is what remains of Mos Eisley. No way, you can kind of go in here. Ugh. This thing's full of garbage, but... Oh, I hope nobody's in here. So I don't think the inside of this building was used to film anything whatsoever, but this is still pretty cool to go inside of. It's you know, it's abandoned, but very neat. There's a bunch of stuff everywhere, and you know, these things. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. Some sort of machine of some kind. But anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna go back outside and look at more of it. Okay, so I'm still not sure what those machines were, but I looked up and apparently this was a bakery. So totally abandoned nowadays. But yeah, they just took a bakery and added set dressing to it and turned it into the cantina. So this specifically is the remains of the cantina, but right around here was also where they filmed like Tosche Station and the Stormtrooper checkpoint. I think that building over there might have been part of it, but I'm not 100% sure. That one over there, I think it kind of would have like occurred in this street. There's more of the bakery. Also, there's another cat. Hello. So yeah, there's not much that actually remains here right now, but still very, very cool. I'm gonna see if I can get into this building. Again, this is like literally an abandoned bakery, so yeah, they wouldn't have done anything in here at all. So this spot was actually not where the alley was, or where the Stormtrooper checkpoint was. That's in a slightly different place than here. It's pretty close though. I'm gonna try to figure out where it is. And there are like stencils all around here that I showed earlier that actually say that it was a filming location. So we're kind of rounding out this part of our trip. There are only 2 more Star Wars places that we're gonna check out. We're going to that exterior for Ben Kenobi's house, and then Tosche Station. I was wrong. It's sort of Tosche Station, and the Mos Eisley exterior was not filmed here. This was pretty much just the cantina and the scenes, you know, kind of right before and after that. So on the whole, we pretty much got to do everything. Just missed that one pod racer scene from yesterday, which I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. I would have been chasing down a rock formation, which would have been neat, but it's not the end of the world that I don't get to see it, honestly. And there's so much other cool stuff we've been doing here too. So, yeah. Yeah, sure. It's fine. Wherever.
It's fine now.
Yeah, it's okay. We've made it to Ben Kenobi's house, and I was just reading on the way over, this is the only building, really the only scene that was filmed in Tunisia that was just, it's called a plate. They literally just took a video of the outside of this building, and they painted a land speeder on, but nothing actually was shot inside of this place. I mean, it's a cool little hut, but all of Kenobi's house was actually done in a studio. But I don't know, nonetheless, there's still like a slight resemblance that I think is kind of interesting. But it's right on a cute little like spot on the coast. We're in Djerba right now, which is like a island in the east of Tunisia. And there's like fishing boats and people pulling in traps and stuff. I have no idea what they're catching, but this is this is like 4 minutes from the the cantina, so it was a really cool thing to add on, even though there's not, you know, it's just the building. I think it's really neat. And it's got another one of these murals. A French guy came and put all these tiles out here, and I think he actually made them first and then kind of just glued them on the wall, but it was like an approved project. It's not really graffiti or anything. I think he could have done it like maybe not directly on the buildings and just like right next to him, but it is what it is. It's a cool spot overall. Apparently some British guys tried to like repaint the building red. I don't know why. There's like this clay paint on here that's just falling right off, so that's why it has that look. I don't think it was ever originally red. I'm not really sure where that comes from, but yeah. Anyways, here we are, like 6 down. I think there's one more to go. So you may potentially recognize this place if you're a Star Wars super fan, and that's because this was actually where the deleted scenes for Tosche Station were filmed. So that was where, you know, we would have gotten a little extra backstory about Luke wanting to join the rebellion and all that. One thing that's kind of interesting, and you can kind of see if you look behind me, but this place is a little bit elevated, as was Kenobi's house, which I could have mentioned this there. And that came in handy because right behind me is the Mediterranean. You can see the sea out there, or maybe better if I show it like this, you could see there's the sea. And that really came in handy because these shots needed to look like they were in the desert, so they were all filmed with the camera like down there up, and that way the whole thing would still look like a desert. So yeah, pretty cool spot, and I believe this is still an active mosque. You can see like the speakers up there for the call to prayer and all that. So definitely an interesting spot nonetheless. I mean, even though it didn't show up in the movie, it's still pretty cool, and it's extremely close. I mean, it's like 10 minutes from the last place we were at, so it's worth checking out. And once again, we've got these domes that are, I don't know how it works physically, but they trap heat up there. Well, probably has something to do with the fact that heat rises, but they help cool the whole building, which, like, once again, just goes to that sort of like, you know, real life ingenuity inspiring the designs for architecture on Tatooine, which I think is fascinating. Anyways, if we go back this way, we can see the sea, and explains that camera angle thing I mentioned a minute ago. There's more of the building. You will probably recognize, I believe, the characters like stood up on that thing or right under it, the square portion up there that's like a different color. So yeah, and they hid the sea extremely well. You would have no idea, but this and the last spot we were just at, there is literally an entire coastline 10 feet behind it that they hid from us. So anyway, that officially concludes the Star Wars portion of the trip. I mean, I'm extremely happy with the amount of stuff we got to see. I mean, we the only things that I really missed were the pod racer spot. There's another scene from episode 1 that's actually filmed in the city of Tatooine, which is where George Lucas got the inspiration for the name of the planet. And I thought about going there, but it was a long way. It was like a 2 hours drive out of the way from everything else we were doing. And I don't know, I mean, it would be cool, but it was a long way to go just to like find this, you know, street sign that says Tatooine and take a picture there. But there's a building from episode 1 there, nothing from the original trilogy, just the Phantom Menace. So we missed that, and then of course the small set that we went and looked for that was buried. And then we know where the crate dragon scene was filmed, but it's like, you know, it's literally desert. So I mean, we really got to see everything with substance, which I think was awesome, and it wasn't that horrible to do. I mean, all of these coordinates are public, all of these, you know, maps and stuff are easy to find, and most of the drivers that, you know, are like our driver, you know, was already familiar with a lot of these things because he's hauling tourists around to these places. So it was fantastic, and for the rest of the trip we have more cultural things to see, some more Medinas and mosques, and even Roman ruins, which I still can't get over how well preserved and just beautiful the Roman ruins are here. I think they're absolutely slept on. Like the fact that I've never heard anybody talk about the temples and structures here from the Roman Empire, I think it's a crime. I mean, they're so awesome. So
The rest of the day we'd spend walking around Djerba, which itself is a UNESCO heritage site. There are a handful of streets full of art, which are a ton of fun to look through.
I know, I figured you would.
I like that one. You wouldn't notice this, like, oh, you might from the sides, but its head is sort of painted into the dome, which is very creative.
Wow.
Super cool piece. Yeah, no, you can't tell until you see it at the right angle. Check it out. It's like lenticular, I believe that's the word.
We spent a night there and then road tripped back to the capital airport to head home. We'd make a few stops along the way: the Jem Amphitheater and Museum, Sousse, and the driver's hometown of Hammamet before ending our trip.
Sorry, I'm just feeling autistic right now.
Do you need to... We haven't even stayed near here, right?
No. I want the ability to spawn into an environment like a North African salesman. Like, genuinely, these people have this hidden, like, alt power up where they can just teleport from like whatever alley they're watching and staring at me from to like 2 feet from my face instantaneously. We just met someone who did this, like works at my hotel and can like do, you know, really anything. He was simultaneously like a shop owner, a taxi driver, like really just a fixer. And it's incredible. I'm blown away by how versatile these business people are and how they're damn near able to break the laws of physics to get right up in front of your face. Wow. Look at that fort.
Hello, tourist, hello.
Hi.
I love you, tourist.
Thank you.
Where are you from?
USA. You know, the minute you put them on camera, they shut up, bro. I love you, tourist. Where are you from? That's funny. Hi. How are you?
This was more legit than the one before.
Toilet you will lower?
Right here, sorry. Hey, Wafa. Keep going, man. I see you go. Here, wanna go out this way?
And like, there's just so many here that it's like hard to test.
Also in Hammamet, the driver showed us the burnt-out mansion that belonged to a family member of the ousted dictator that the people destroyed around 2011. It was a really cool spot, something I never would have thought to visit, or even really knew about in the first place.
Kind of looks like the ceiling in my basement. Wow. Chandelier, balcony. Hi. This would have been a cool bedroom.
I think the government need to operation for this and open for tourists.
Mm-hmm. Neat. All right, cool. Oh, bathtub.
On the whole, this entire country, the people, landscapes, and of course, Star Wars sites, made this one of the coolest trips I've ever taken. I'd come back here in a heartbeat, and this was an awesome moment for us. I totally encourage you to go yourself, and if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them in the comments section. Make sure to check out my other videos if you're interested in unique travel, and I also have another video where I visit another Star Wars set. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you next time.